A little Saturday night random musings as I sit in the headquarters here getting stuff done. I think there's a reckoning coming in social media marketing, and it is a reckoning that's been a long time coming. It is a reckoning that is being driven in part by privacy, whether you look at it from Facebook's perspective with everything happening there, um, or whether you look at it from the perspective of regulatory oversight, specifically GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation that the EU is implementing penalties on the end of May of this year. And even though it applies to EU citizens, it impacts any company that does any kind of data exchange of EU citizen data, which is pretty much the planet, because our websites cannot tell who is and is not an EU citizen. The reckoning I think is going to happen is twofold. We're already seeing many companies pulling back the amount of data that we as marketers can access. And some of this rightfully so. Facebook and its API policies were entirely too lenient or just not overseen at all for far too long. Some of it's because of regulatory pressure and the need to not have a balkanization of massive numbers of different systems for different regions. But the net effect of this is going to be that for marketers who rely on third-party data, life's going to get really difficult for a while. So if you're used to just spinning up easy, hyper-targeted advertising campaigns, or easily looking at who is sharing your Facebook posts and things like that, a lot of that data is going to get harder to come by. We've already seen Facebook accelerating, for example, the reduction in accessible data in their APIs, locking a lot of stuff out, from custom audiences on the advertising side to what you can ingest from organic reach, especially on Instagram. It took a whole bunch of people by surprise recently when Facebook said, yeah, we're accelerating the deprecation of the older Instagram APIs. And a lot of social media monitoring tools have been posting, yep, this is a thing. We know we don't have the data. Nobody has the data. We saw LinkedIn do that earlier this year. It was the subject of the white paper I just did for Brain Trust Insights. And even Twitter changing its terms of service to cut down on bots and things and reducing what tools can do with the various APIs. And the API is really where this reckoning in social media is coming. It's coming there because a lot of the middleware, a lot of the connective tissue of social media marketing relies on relatively open data from all these APIs for publication, for analysis, for reporting. When companies throttle down what we can access in these APIs and what data we get out of them, it blinds us to knowing what's working. And so companies will take one of probably two approaches. Either they'll resort to whatever metrics are available, which means for some folks going back to, hey, we've got more followers than they do, right? And the more advanced marketers will say, well, let's look at the owned media data we have access to. That is ours. We own it. We don't have any additional regulatory hurdles or things to jump through. So that would be stuff like website data, marketing automation data, CRM data. The problem is that social media has never done well in those tools, even with good attribution analysis, especially if sales cycles are longer than the window of reporting that a lot of tools have. For example, Google Analytics has a 90-day reporting window. If your sales cycle is 2 years, you really only get that rolling 90-day window of attribution. And many of the attribution solutions either require significant technical skill or lots and lots of money. So the reckoning, I think, will be on the social media side when companies look at the results, and those savvy companies look at the results inside their web analytics software and go, not really seeing the impact here. And if marketers are not collecting first-party data from their audiences to say, hey, how did you hear about us? and asking questions on intake like, did you see our Facebook ads? Did you see our Facebook posts? Did you see our Twitter posts? What social networks did you find out about us on? When you asked your friends about us, what did they say, etc.? If we don't have that first-party data, we may find that our budgets and our prioritization of social media will be reduced, especially if the economy takes a downward turn and people start asking, well, what exactly are we paying for? Like, why are we paying for all this stuff? There's a real risk that social media marketing is going to get whacked in the knees, because without the ability to incorporate all of that engagement data and run and build attribution models that show that engagement has an impact, an indirect impact on later stages of consideration, evaluation, and purchase, once that data goes away when those APIs get shut down, the value of social media will not be as apparent. So, what should we do about this? What should we do from a marketing perspective, from a data perspective? First, we need to own our data. If you are relying on the good graces of Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter or Pinterest or any third-party company for the data about the value of the work that you do or the value of what you provide, you're in trouble. Get down to owned data as quickly as possible. That means even if you can't get someone to buy something, get an alternate sale. Get them to sign up for your newsletter. Get them to sign up for additional notifications. Get some conversion that is measurable, that you can say, well, okay, we may not have sold a jet plane to this person on our Twitter channel, but we got them to sign up to the mailing list so that we can pay attention to them. Second, own your data in the sense of make sure that you're leveraging those owned databases. There is no guarantee that Facebook will even let you do certain things 3 months from now or 6 months from now, but you can send an email. You can publish something to your website. You can be found in search. You have control over what content you publish. You may not necessarily have control over the individual channels, but you have control of what you write, what you publish, what you create, what you record. And third, start building out your attribution models now while you still have some of the engagement data, while you still have legacy historical data. Build strong attribution models so that you can showcase, here's the baseline impact of social media marketing on our business results, right? Take the time to do the math, to build out strong models, because you're going to need them to prove later on, once more and more data goes away, that doing this thing still matters, if your role is heavily a social media role. Even if it's not, get really good at attribution modeling, because at some point, all you're going to have left is the data that you own. It's first-party data. Get good at collecting data that's relevant, that matters, that asks intelligent questions like, would you recommend us to a friend on a 1-to-10 ratio? It's simple stuff like that. We've let a lot of that stuff slide as marketers because we've gotten so addicted to and so used to the ease of social media engagement data that we don't ask the tougher questions, or we don't ask them often enough. So that's the reckoning that I don't know when it's going to happen, but we know there are milestones ahead. GDPR at end of May, Facebook whenever the Facebook crew stops putting their feet in their mouth, but it's coming. Be ready for it. Thanks for watching. As always, subscribe to all the things.